I'm Roger Noyes, Director of Public Information here at NYSOFA, and we're going to talk today about an exciting online community available for older adults, so stay tuned for this program.
Now, live with Greg Olsen, Director of the New York State Office for the Aged.
Hi, welcome to today's program, Live with Greg. As you can see, I'm not Greg. I am Roger Noyes, Director of Public Information here at NYSOFA. Greg had a conflict today, so he wasn't able to do the show. Regrets not being able to be here for this important partnership that we're going to talk about. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited about this partnership with our friends at GetSetUp. So good afternoon, and I'm thrilled to introduce Lawrence Kosick, President and co-founder of GetSetUp. Lawrence, welcome to today's program.
Oh, it's great to be here, Roger. Thank you for having me. Excited to share more details about
I'm having
partnership.
a little bit of, here we go, technical issues with my camera, but Lawrence, you there?
I am
Okay,
indeed, Roger. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. So GetSetUp is an online community of older adults who want to learn, connect with others, and unlock new life experiences. GetSetUp offers live programming taught by peers who are experts in their field. It includes social hours hosted by community members and special events with speakers who directly address areas of interest to older adults. I'm going to let Lawrence talk about how he came to develop this platform and bring it to the public, his backstory, but it's something that was formative to you at a younger age. So we'll talk about that. But NYSOFA has partnered with GetSetUp to provide older adults in New York State with access to hundreds of online classes that are free of charge thanks to support in the New York State budget. So we're going to talk about the platform, what it is, how it works, some of the unique features that are newly launched as part of the platform, and ways that older adults can take advantage of this incredible resource. So remember, if you have any questions for Lawrence or for myself for the show, please put them in the chat. We'll feature them later in the program, and we'll get to those a little bit later. So Lawrence, just to start off, tell us about GetSetUp. How did it start? Give us that backstory. What brought you to develop this platform?
So we started GetSetUp a little over 5.5 years ago. So literally 3 months before the pandemic. And when you start a business, you don't really anticipate a pandemic being an accelerator of the business. But we knew from being sort of a technical support for our parents. I have an older father, my co-founder also older parents, and we were substandard tech support. So we would spend a lot of time thinking through how could we do a better job of helping our folks. Now, it's important to note, I'm 58, so I'm now part of the category that I serve. So it's almost a collective we. But I would think of ways to support my father as he was trying to think through technical devices, things that he was trying to solve for, passwords, logins, double authentication, all sorts of things that he would struggle with. And I think that I was poor tech support, to be quite honest with you. It was just sort of a different level of patience, empathy, cadence, vocabulary. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we thought of a way, created a platform where those who are struggling like I was to be sort of better tech support to my friends, family, and older loved ones, in this case, my father, a place where they could have things, they could learn about things from people like them, meaning peer to peer. Mm-hmm. And so we took a different approach, which was to reskill older adults, like folks over 50, folks over 60, 70, etc., and have them teach other older adults the things they wanted and needed to learn about to live happy, healthy, more connected lives.
So if you're an older adult and you may, and one thing we should know is older adults are using technology pretty much at a similar pace as any other demographic group. There was a recent AARP study that showed that. However, in certain cases, there are individuals who may feel intimidated by the technology, right? So if someone wanted to join this online community, do you need a lot of like tech background or ability to do it?
You don't. And I think that was the point of creating a platform, so that anyone at any level could get online, and if they had challenges with their devices or with activation, signing up, getting into a class, we would have support there to help. And the support would generally be sort of a similar age, and folks on our side who are older adults helping other older adults, get into their first class. And if they were advanced, they could take something that was a little bit more advanced. And if they needed help sort of with some basic tech or setting up their device before they got to some of those other fun and interesting classes, we could help all levels.
Okay, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about how to sign up to get set up a little bit later. But it's good to know, key takeaway, right? You don't need to have a lot of tech background to get started, right? It's pretty user friendly, and there's a support network there to help you. So what types of classes do you offer through GetSetUp? And is classes even the right word? I mean, I feel like it's broader than just classes in a sense, right?
Yeah, no, and thank you for calling that out. I think that, the name GetSetUp would suggest, we help folks learn what it is they need to learn. In some cases, to get online for the first time, but in many cases, as you mentioned correctly earlier, Roger, a lot of them have devices, they understand tech, they use it all the time, but there might be something specific that they want or need to learn for different use cases in their life. So, initially we started the business by just teaching people basic tech, like whatever smart device they had, how could we help them use that? Could be a tablet, an Android phone, Apple, a laptop, etc. How to use that to get into, their first class on GetSetUp. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of those were tech classes just to help people learn to use Zoom and whatnot. But there's only so many tech classes that folks like to take before they're interested in doing other things. And so we started to survey the audience and ask them, what else would you want, or need to learn? And of course, we got answers that you'd expect, right? Health and fitness is a popular one. Nutrition and cooking, all sorts of financial topics around financial literacy and investing and whatnot. Creative arts, music, hobbies, special series on caregivers, resources for veterans, all sorts of interesting and fun things. So there's a little something for everybody. Mm-hmm. So you're correct when a New Yorker comes to the platform and is looking for something fun or interesting to take. There's something for everybody.
What I appreciate about the way it's structured is, I can be interested in a single topic or a single issue or something that I want to explore and find, but you also have things really well grouped according to series, right? So people can go a little deeper and broader. So for instance, if I was concerned about, say, cybersecurity or something, or issues related to fraud and scams, or like you mentioned earlier, caregivers, it's Caregiver Month. You have a whole series around those issues. So can you tell us about that strategy, how you kind of approach the organization and in development of this platform to make it easy for people to find the content they're looking for?
Yes, I think we realized early on, once we understood that people would want more than just basic tech, and tech is still, one of the most important sort of categories we teach, particularly when you think about sort of cybersecurity and AI and sort of how fast that's changing. It's important to sort of stay up with the trends and making sure we teach sort of the latest, greatest. But as we started to offer additional categories, a lot of those categories came at the suggestion of our learners. So always polling our learners, like, what else do you need help with, right? What would you like to learn about or need to learn about? And in many cases, it could be things that were fun and social because, they were at home. Maybe they don't have any friends, family, or loved ones, or maybe they had an injury or mobility challenges, and they just wanted to enjoy sort of classes from their home. And so that would be more of a social context. Mm-hmm. There's other folks who, they wanted to get a skill because they needed to continue to work. So we'd offer classes on, how to update your LinkedIn profile, or how to use certain kinds of technology, or, how to go out and do an interview. So that folks that had different sort of use cases that they were trying to solve for, we'd have something for each of those. But, when we look across the most popular categories, it is very much, health and fitness, exercise classes, nutrition, technology, and like finance, and of course, healthcare, all things related to sort of better understanding, one's healthcare. And we only need to watch the news, because anything that's really sort of pertinent and relevant to folks over 50 and folks over 60, they want to come and learn more about those things. And those are the kinds of things that we ought to be and do teach on the platform.
I mean, I think that's one of the things we're very excited about, is to see in the data specifically to our state, but I think this is probably national, and Lawrence, you can tell us, is that health and fitness seems to be the top tier. I mean, people want to do things to make it so that they can age in place, stay healthy, reduce falls risk, all these really important things that that's our mission. That's what we do as an agency. And you guys are really bringing and presenting content that is drawing people to those topics. So has that been something you've seen nationally? And also, is it something that you're surprised and excited about as well, like we are, in the same way?
100% see it nationally. So our classes are broadly available, but we're particularly proud of the class curation and the things that we do with the state of New York, because we do go deeper and focus on things like caregiving resources and healthcare resources and workforce development or job skills, and so those sorts of things, well popular across the country. Definitely very, very popular, in the state of New York and with older New Yorkers. And so we do constantly think about, what is the programming that we have today? What else are people interested in as we look forward, over the next, several months? What are going to be things that people are going to be more interested in? So, obviously, we see different kinds of classes taken sort of in the winter, and as we approach the holidays, oftentimes it's a little different in the summer, when it's back to school, when it's those sorts of seasonality things. We do see a change in the type of classes that people take on the platform.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking with Lawrence Kosick of GetSetUp about their amazing platform and our partnership with them. And so we're going to, later in the program, provide a little bit more information about how to log in, how to take some of these free classes and make these connections with other people. So we'll just stay tuned and make sure you get that information, because it's really important. It'll be life-changing for a lot of people, right, to use this platform. So we're really excited about the number of people that have already taken classes in New York State. It's pretty astounding, right? What's the data? We have the data point there on the screen, but that's pretty amazing, right? 1 million class attendances. Was this something that you thought was going to happen? Like what?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. We fully understood how popular this would be. I think we knew it was going to be an important resource, because we felt like we were fulfilling a need, and there needed to be sort of this safe, secure place where older adults could go online to learn from others just like them. And so we knew that would be an interesting concept, and we knew that if we delivered the programming in a way that was friendly and sort of specifically developed for this audience, that it would be more widely consumed. But I think that's a big number. That we're proud of that number, and sort of when you look at sort of the number of folks in New York State taking these classes, you quickly realize that there's no one specific type of New Yorker on our platform. It's a wonderful cross section of folks who may be wanting to learn caregiving skills because they need to look after an older adult. They themselves might need to learn a job skill because they want to continue working or re-enter the workforce. It could be folks who are stuck at home and just want to, have a way to sort of log on, learn, and or socialize from the comfort of their home. There's just so many wonderful use cases that this platform is now able to fulfill. And so that's why I think we serve the big numbers we do, but we're proud of that, but there's so much more work to do. There's so much more work to do. There's millions of others that we need to help, because this is the fastest growing portion of our population. So important that we can continue to think about sort of the things that they want and need to learn.
And that's why we're having this conversation today, to get people to know about this platform, get excited about it, want to log on and hear more about it. I was going to ask you about the average New York learner, but I think you addressed that, right? So it's cross-sectional. So that's really interesting, that it could be someone that's, feels socially isolated, and so is just going there and like doesn't really have a plan for what they want to look for. They just are going to follow their curiosity, I would say, right? And then, or someone who's really issue driven and going based on something that they're seeking out specifically. So that's really interesting. Are classes available in other languages besides English? I know you have some content for Spanish speakers, for instance, right?
Certainly, yep. Spanish, Mandarin, Hindi. We're constantly thinking about new and additional languages that we can offer. But yes, to the point you made earlier, I guess if you think about it, and you think, okay, there's folks anywhere from 50 all the way to say 90, with a few exceptions, but that's a pretty wide age range, and the learning needs and the interests across that spectrum can be very different. And so we think a lot about, what kind of programming needs to be provided and available to which, and in what kind of, friendly format. And so, whether it's a caregiver, somebody that's thinking about staying or in the workforce or re-entering the workforce, or it's just somebody who wants to, exercise from the comfort of their own home. What is that age? What is that level? And what is the format in which that programming needs to be delivered? Because the whole goal is engagement. It's how do we create the friendliest place we can for older adults to learn whatever it is they need to learn to thrive. And there's so many use cases across that age range, so it creates a lot of opportunity for us to serve.
So, so we talked about sort of the average person, the type of person that would take classes. Let's talk a little bit about, just so people know, like, is there a technology requirement aside from having a web browser? Do you need like a Zoom or any other software or anything, or is it just pretty much you got a browser, you got internet connection, you're good to go?
If you have a browser, if you can open up, the window and access the internet, you are good to go. We of course offer the ability to use Zoom, and if you do, then you can turn your camera on and you can ask questions and you can sort of be a little more interactive. But the goal was to make it as friendly and as approachable for anybody at any sort of level of technology understanding, right? Mm-hmm. And so that approachability is really what's most important to us.
So do you have any new courses or series or exciting offerings that are coming up in the future that you want to highlight?
Oh, always. Seasonalities are really important for us, because it's timely, it's relevant. And so, we think about, November series that we have. I think it's American Diabetes Month. We have Alzheimer's Awareness, National Family Caregivers Series, Fraud Awareness Week. And of course, a very, very important one is right now it's Medicare annual enrollment. And there's just so much, I think, fear and concern around the complexity of this topic. And is there a health plan? Is a health plan changing? Are folks losing certain benefits? And so just teaching people how to be aware, where to go to access legitimate resources, how to sort of critically think about and research the best options for them. That's a really, really important topic right now, one that we see a lot of interest in.
I guess we could say the safest way to say this is we're in a very dynamic environment when it comes to things like Medicare or benefits, and so having this kind of resource and resources through the Office for the Aging are really important. We'll talk about some of those connections that we're making right through some of the platform that you've been working on through GetSetUp. Can you tell us? I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are like, well, I have a talent. I have something I can share. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a historian. I would love to teach a class on Get Set Up. Is that available to anyone to pitch an idea to you and say, hey, look, this is a course I'd like to, present through your platform? How does someone do that?
So Roger, this is maybe my favorite question.
Okay.
And this was the thing that surprised us the most when we were first thinking of how to best launch Get Set Up, because we argued, who should the teachers be? We call them guides, but who should the guides be? Should we just hire, anybody who has the right credentialing and experience? Or should we try to solve the very problem that sort of I had with my father, which was sort of a difference in sort of that patience, empathy, cadence, and vocabulary? And so we stumbled on, well, why don't we just reskill and upskill older adults and have them teach the other older adults? And so you would be learning from others just like you. So there'd be sort of this friendly, more comfortable environment where no question was a dumb one. And it just was the right sort of feeling, environment, and vibe. And so very early on, we made the choice to sort of, hire older adults whenever we can, because it's a wonderful pool of experience, knowledge, and wisdom that we can tap into. And they are wonderful teachers for the other learners. Now, where do they come from? Well, in many cases, we have a lot of the learners who may take, 5 or 10 classes on Get Set Up, and then they raise their hand and they say, I have, I'm a retired doctor, lawyer, teacher, nurse, yoga instructor, whatever the skill may be. Can I teach on the platform? And the answer is quite possibly. Our guides do in large part come from our community. So, there's an application link. And we look for guides who have, skills and credentialing along the lines of the programming that we're trying to build and offer. But we're always looking for new and great ideas, and we put them through sort of an academy of how to teach online using technical tools, because it's a little different than teaching at the front of a classroom. Or some people may have a skill but have never sort of used a video Zoom-like product to teach others. And so we have an academy that helps do that. But that is how we arrived at sort of a platform where older adults are teaching older adults the things they need and want to learn to live, sort of happy, healthy, more connected lives.
I mean, it says something about older adults too, and I think that is reflected in our work. So I constantly hear from our programs that rely on volunteers that individuals that are helped by some of our programs become volunteers for those programs. They learn about them and they want to give back. And so I think I see that cycle sort of reflected in what you're talking about through Get Set Up, which is really fascinating. I think we're going to take a quick break. We're talking with Lawrence Kosick of Get Set Up about their platform, which connects older adults to lifelong learning. We're going to share some information about how you can take advantage of this free resource. Now, Lawrence just mentioned Medicare open enrollment, which is happening right now. It's a time when individuals who are Medicare beneficiaries can make some changes to their coverage. And we have some programs that can help individuals make the right decisions through HIICAP. So take a look at this quick video.
Greg Olsen, and I'm the director of the New York State Office for Aging.
Hi, I'm Heather Leddick, and I'm with New York State Office for the Aging with the HIICAP program.
So right now is open enrollment time, but you can't turn on your TV without somebody trying to sell you one of their products.
So someone might ask, what's the right plan? How do I know what decision to make? And the best thing to do is reach out to HIICAP, the Health Insurance Information Counseling and Assistance Program. And you can reach us by calling 1-800-701-0501.
All of our counselors in New York State are state certified and highly trained. They're not selling you anything. What they're providing is information so that you can select the best plan that's right for you.
There's 15 prescription drug plans available for Medicare beneficiaries in New York State for 2024. There's 280 companies offering Medicare Advantage plan. Last year, HIICAP counselors helped Medicare beneficiaries save $115 million through prescription drug savings and other Medicare-related health costs. Medicare can be very complex, so we encourage you, if you have questions, to please call HIICAP today, 1-800-701-0501.
How is anybody expected to understand 280 insurance products and 15 prescription drug plans? Please call HIICAP today. It could be the best call you make this year.
Don't call the number on TV. Call this number.
I think I'm detecting a common theme here, which is, where to go for trusted information. And GetSetUp, we're talking with Lawrence Cossack of GetSetUp and their platform, and how it's a trusted source and it's a safe space, right, for older adults to learn and connect with one another. And like form, our HIICAP program during Medicare and open enrollment is a trusted place and a trusted authority for accessing objective information about your health benefits. So take advantage of that resource as well. So Lawrence, we're really excited to have you here today and continuing this conversation about GetSetUp, and want to turn to some new features that are available through your platform. So tell us a little bit about how you're using AI to improve the user experience and how users can benefit.
Well, the first thing we think about is safety and security. So we offer a whole suite of courses on how to use AI safely, the benefits of using AI, the security challenges and the things to be on the lookout for. And those change regularly, so we're updating those classes all the time so that we can keep our older adults safe and vigilant and looking out for whatever the next sort of scam might be. But then there's the opportunity around how to use AI in an empowering way. So let me focus on that for a moment, because we're a peer-to-peer platform. So we're older adults helping other older adults learn whatever it is they need to learn. But AI can actually be a great assistant in doing that. And so that assistant can help answer more questions in classes. It can help translate things into other languages. And it can help us, direct people to wonderful resources like HIICAP, for example. We just saw an ad, and you highlighted a New York resource around helping older adults, better understand, their healthcare options. And so we can tune, our AI assistant. We call her Helen, and Helen can understand and know that you're coming out of a healthcare class and say, well, would you like more information on HIICAP? And would you like the link to HIICAP? Because that is a trusted resource in New York State. And so what it allows us to do is use Helen to sort of augment our learning experience, so she can help you find a class a little faster. She can help you answer a question about a New York resource. She can translate things for you. She can simplify things. But we think about her in sort of a learning context. We don't try to apply, AI for, all things to all people. We're a learning platform. And if Helen can help our older adults find things a little faster, make things a little simpler, boil things down into sort of a more understandable vocabulary, recommend trusted resources, then that's a really great use of AI. But it's more of a complement to our peer-to-peer model. It's not a replacement.
What's great is, AI is here, right? It's here, it's happening, and, you have to be conversant in it and really understand how it works. And, rather than go somewhere else to learn that, right, which could be risky or, might not be the best approach, here we have a trusted, right, space to do so. And it's also connected to learning through, as you said, peer-to-peer classes where, you can get the context for it, right, and how to effectively use AI. So Helen's basically is a component of GetSetUp, and you basically can just type right into some keywords, and Helen will produce some results for you. Tell us a little bit more about how it works. We see it on the screen here.
Sure. So when a New York learner comes to the learning channel that we provide together on GetSetUp, they have the opportunity to ask Helen a question, and we give some suggestions around things that might be fun or interesting to ask. Some of the most common ones are, can you help me find a class today? Or, can you help me, understand a place I can go for a certain New York resource? But you can see on the screen here, what kind of resources are available for National Caregivers Month, right? So we host a lot of different classes. We also highlight New York resources. And Helen makes that sort of very fast and easy and complementary to the learning experience. And so, when a learner first arrives at the Learning Channel, it's just one more option of a way they can engage. Sometimes they have time for a 30-minute or a 1-hour class, but sometimes they just have a quick question. And if they have a quick question, that's a perfect use case for Helen to help.
So where does the information come from? Where's it drawn from? I'm very grateful to see, Office for the Aging information on there. Again, trusted information as part of the language model, right? I guess it is, right, for the AI. So, can you tell us a little bit more about where the information comes from, so older adults know that background?
Yeah, I mean, so we spend a lot of time about thinking through sort of trusted sources, right? So in the case of New York, we would train, Helen to be conversant on New York programs, using New York and NYSOFA, website and content around the details of those programs, so that if someone's taking, say, a nutrition class or a healthcare class on GetSetUp, a really wonderful use case might be Helen noticing that you're taking a nutrition class and you're from New York, and being able to offer you, links to the resources on NYSOFA's website or from legitimate sources in New York. So we have to train Helen to use that data as the source of truth, and provide that to learners when they're asking questions about certain topics. So it's all about making sure that we tune Helen to make sure that she's using legitimate sources when providing answers to learners.
I mean, that's so great to hear. And, we're constantly, bombarded with information about AI. There's people have misgivings about it and fears at times, right? But you're doing it for good. And in fact, you've received an award for it. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Unintentional consequences. We thought, if we're going to use AI, because it's all over the news, so it's going to be very interesting to our learners. There's going to be both fear, concern, and interest. How do we address all? And so, by thinking through how to teach the learners how to use it safely, and then also starting to think, well, how could we use it to, create new opportunity for them to learn new things, access new things, do new and wonderful things, on the platform. We came to the attention of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, and they were watching the ways that we were using AI to safely deliver, educational content to our learners, and acknowledged us with an award for using AI for good. And it's an ongoing challenge, because AI is changing every single week, and so we have to be very vigilant in making sure that our classes on how to use it safely sort of keep up with the number of challenges and scams out there, but then also on the opportunity side, because it's going to change the way we find information, the way we connect with our healthcare, the way we learn new products or technology, say to stay in the workforce. And so making sure that we can help as our learners are trying to understand and navigate that seems to be a really important part of our mission, and very relevant today.
Before we get to some audience questions, is there anything I didn't ask that you'd like to highlight or re-stress that we talked about earlier?
Well, you asked a question earlier that I neglected to answer, so I'll answer now. You
I don't remember that, but
would all of these
would
all of these be considered classes? And I think we do use the term class because it's a session of sorts.
Yeah.
But not everything is academic in nature. Much is. So there's There's experts teaching, sort of different products and services and programs, and they're credentialed with those backgrounds and helping people who want to learn more about, a technology or a product or, SNAP nutrition or Medicare, et cetera. But there's a lot of fun and social sort of sessions, if you will, where the goal may not be to learn something specific. It might be to socialize. It might be to share, travel experiences. It might be a support group of sorts. So there are fun and social sessions, which it's hard to describe those as classes. Classes sounds like a little more formal learning. So there's both. And so I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted that, because you called that out earlier and I didn't address it, but there are a lot of fun opportunities to come and socialize. And examples of that would be around the holidays, for example. Some people don't have any friends, family, or loved ones. So we usually have events on the platform from where people can come together and, hang out and share stories and just be with others just like them. And we think that's a wonderful thing to do so that, nobody's lonely at holiday time, as an example.
Well, I think that also goes with what you were saying about the individuals are guides for the classes, right? They're not instructors, right? So because an instructor or a teacher suggests there's something didactic or, that's happening, right? And it can be broader than that. So I think that's a really important thing to highlight, generally about just sort of the philosophy of what you have created for people. So I think we're going to get to some audience questions, but first we're going to put up, if we could put up the QR code real quick, Alex, for individuals to sign up and register with GetSetUp. So we just want to share this. If you have a second, you want to grab, you're watching this on a computer and you want to put it on your smartphone so you can save it for later, or however you want to do it. But this is the website and the QR code for accessing GetSetUp, and really all you have to do is log on and get started. So we have our first audience question. So how does GetSetUp navigate the language barrier that exists in different communities? So we talked about this a little bit. Classes are in different languages, but I don't know, is there anything, Lawrence, that you want to highlight?
Yeah, it's such an important question, because whatever it is we're doing, we can always do more, right? Like there's no end to sort of the in language content that we could provide, and the number of languages that we don't yet solve for. In some cases, Helen helps us in a small way address some of that, but we do think a lot about sort of what other languages and what kind of content we need to be offering in those languages to be most helpful. We notice in different partnerships that we have in different regions around the U.S., different languages are, California, has more Spanish, but also has a lot of Korean. Our partnership in Michigan has more Arabic. So there's some different sort of language challenges in different places, and we're always grappling with how we can do that better. Mm-hmm. The good news is that Helen can definitely do sort of on-the-fly translations. So that helps with that one specific piece, but you will see us continue to think about what other languages and what other content we can continue to add, because we do realize that when you look at sort of the older adult population, we're all first, second, third generation immigrants from another place, and oftentimes we speak other languages. So, it's a challenge for us to think through what else we can do there, but we think about it a lot.
That's great. Can I get access to GetSetUp on my iPad or cell phone? So what are the different, devices people can use?
All of the above. Actually, one interesting trend we see a lot of people actually sign up on their mobile device, sort of a smaller screen. And then when they come and take the actual class, if it is later as opposed to on the spot, they oftentimes come back and take it on a bigger screen. But a tablet is a very, very, very popular device that folks use to take GetSetUp classes. But any and all, the platform and the classes are what we call responsive, which means they should generally be working on any device.
Okay. Is there mental health sessions as well? Well, that's a great question.
That is a great question.
Thank you for that, Rodriguez.
Yeah, that is a great question, and the answer is yes. There's quite a lot of them. We think that that's a very, very important topic, and there's sort of different categories of sort of mental health sessions on the platform. Some of them are more sort of serious and academic in nature, but the socialization pieces that I talked about earlier, we see a lot of folks who get together in our community-led sessions, and they almost seem to turn into support groups to help people who are grappling with sort of difficult situations. And we also consider that sort of a less formal addressing of sort of mental health challenges that people face, particularly when they're on their own and they're going through sort of difficult situations. But yes, very important topic and something we offer a lot of on the platform.
Excellent. I think we already kind of addressed this, but do you want to, I mean, we have the QR code. It's an opportunity to put that back up on the screen because we really want people to check it out and sign up. But it's basically you log in, you have a browser, you have internet access, and you're a go. So if you're in New York State, the platform recognizes that you are in New York State, and so this is free, right? So is there any other
Indeed.
information that people need to know?
No, if they have this QR code and or the address there at the bottom, they are good to go. We welcome them with open arms. Come and join us.
Can I share GetSetUp with other people? Well, I would think that would be a yes, right? But I'll let Lawrence answer that.
We'd love it if you did. Anybody that you think could benefit from the service, please share the address. And actually, a little sort of funny story. Early on, when we were trying to grow the audience and find more learners to take more classes, we started asking our learners to share the address with others and invite others to come to the classes. And unbeknownst to us, because a lot of the learners are first, second, and third generation immigrants in some cases, in many cases, they would share it with people in different countries because they had come from those other countries. And that is where we started to get exposed to the number of other languages and kind of the international flair of the community. And it helped us think through, well, what other kinds of international cuisine and travel and language and things that could we introduce on the platform? But when we asked people to share, somehow I think we thought it was going to be with somebody down the street or around the corner. And in many cases, it was with their friends, family, and loved ones in another country. And so that really sort of helped us understand the true international flair.
No, that's great. What makes GetSetUp classes different from classes at my local community center?
Could be a few different things. For starters, you can do them sort of from the comfort of your own home. So you don't have to go anywhere. But if you want to go down to your community center, we encourage you to do it. It's great to get out of the house and get down there and see some other folks. But when you can't, we're offering hundreds of classes that you can enjoy at home. And as we mentioned earlier, they're generally, being taught by older adults for older adults. So we think that that's kind of a fun and interesting point of differentiation because you're learning or hanging out with others just like you. And then there's a broad range of topics. We hope we do a great job of representing all the different sort of categories we think somebody might want or need to learn about. But if we miss something, you'll see us at it in the next sort of month or two because we like to make sure that we're on top of things. So hopefully we're very complimentary to what you can get down at the Senior Community Center and not trying to replace that.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned encouraging them. But also, your community center might be closed at the time when you want to take a class. You're ready to go, right? The weather might be bad. So I agree. It's a compliment. And so both, I guess, modalities, both ways of approaching socialization are good, and you should approach both. And so I appreciate that sense of complementary nature of it. So Lawrence Kosick from GetSetUp, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. And our next show coming up is very timely, helping to fight food insecurity. We planned the show several months ago, but we now realize this is a very salient issue at this time. So please join us next week on November 20th for that program. I want to thank the communications team, Alex Hyatt and Darren Boyson, for helping to make this production as flawless and seamless as possible, and for doing a great production work behind the scenes. And we're going to close out with a video about end-of-life planning and sort of, kind of the considerations that you need to make to ensure that an individual's wishes are, they make those wishes known. And the holiday season is a good time to have that hard conversation with folks. So watch this video.
Live with Greg is a production of the New York State Office for the Aging Communications Bureau. Please join us next time.